Hello.
What is up?
What is up? Oh my gosh. This day has been crazy.
Oh yeah, well at least you're not in Syria.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what happened today that was so terrible for you that a Syrian would say I gladly trade for this?
uh I was just running all day long. Just getting the kids up, you know, out the door by 7:45 and they're doing construction on my stairs and so I
Oh
didn't
well, hold
know
on.
I was
Let's stop there for a second. At least your
okay.
kids have a school to go to. At
Oh
least you've
gosh,
got
you're
people
right.
to fix the stairs at your apartment instead of living in a place that doesn't have any stairs and is just a
Yeah.
pile of rubble. Continue.
And then so uh then I dropped off baby at his daycare.
Oh, wow. Your dog has a daycare.
It's $38 a day.
I don't think I need to explain how this one fits into my theme.
Okay. And then came back home, went into work.
Oh, you have a home
Um
to come back to,
yeah, I
and you
have
have
a
a
home.
job to go to,
Yeah, there's a roof over my head.
a cushy job where you
Yeah.
blabber for a
And then
few
at
hours.
11 I got a call from the school because Pete was in the nurse's office um because he had a sore throat and I couldn't get him until noon. So right after the show was over, I ran to get Pete. But while I was doing the show, I made a doctor's appointment for him to get a strep test done.
Do you know what
At,
happens in Syria?
what?
If a kid's lucky enough to go to school, if they're
Uh
lucky
huh.
enough to go to school, the kid understands how lucky they are and they don't dare say, "Oh, I have a sore throat. I need to go home." And even if they did try to pull such a thing, the school nurse wouldn't call the parent. The school nurse would say, "Oh yeah, a sore throat," and they would make the kid yell for 15 minutes straight at the top of
Wow.
their lungs.
I'm so lucky.
They'd say, "Scream, little boy."
Okay, so then I got Pete. Came home, made him some lunch, jumped back on for the podcast.
There's that food thing again.
Yeah, I had food to give him. Uh, finished the podcast around 1. Came back out and did I do anything between 1 and 2? I guess after 1. Yeah. So maybe I had like 30 minutes, 30, maybe 40 minutes of downtime. And then we went to get Ellie. And then dropped off Ellie at her grandma's house. And then Pete and I went to the CVS for his little appointment. Uh, he has strep throat. Went home. Went and got Ellie. Went home. Uh, I taught them how to do their own laundry.
Yeah. I'm taking notes
Uh,
here. You know, the fact that you were able to do a podcast means you have a computer, that you have equipment, that you have an
yeah.
internet connection.
Mm-hmm.
The fact you have
Access.
grandparents around to
Yeah.
watch the kids. Most people in Syria lost their grandparents a long
Yeah.
time ago when they were babies.
Yeah, they were bombed.
Teaching the kids to do laundry.
Mm-hmm.
One of the first things parents in Syria teach their kids to do is laundry, and they have to do it with a washboard by hand.
Oh, in a river?
So, continue to complain. Then you had an hour
Okay.
break where you were able to decompress and let the anxiety flow from your brain.
No, not even. Because then I had to take them to go get Pete's prescription at the CVS, and then
Oh,
we went to pick
medicine.
up baby,
Access to
and
medicine.
then I came home. We had to flip the laundry. I came upstairs. I cooked them dinner.
Multiple
Uh,
meals in a day. Uh-huh.
yeah, multiple meals. Cooked them dinner. Uh, Pete and I did 2 pages of his kindergarten book. Um, Pete took a shower. Oh, in the meantime, and like while after we did the 2 pages, I bleached my roots. which takes a lot of time and patience because if you miss a spot, then you're fucked. So I bleached my roots while that was processing. Pete wanted to take a shower, so he was taking a shower.
Running water.
While Pete was taking a shower, Ellie's stomach started hurting. And so I was helping her with that. Pete got out of the shower. I got in. I had to like rinse my hair out. They had made a mess. Like nothing had been cleaned up. So like the kitchen is still full of food and things. And then I'm putting them to bed. And I'm still trying to clean up. And then here I am. I just feel like I haven't stopped all day.
Vanity project.
Part of it was a vanity, to get
with
to bleach my roots.
And people would be so lucky to think about such things in Syria, but they don't have time for that. They have to think about survival. How much food did you waste? How much food was wasted?
None. I used leftover mac and cheese, and then I cooked chicken.
Oh, but you had leftover.
Yeah, I have leftovers now.
People in Syria don't have
and
leftovers.
I had leftovers.
They don't have leftovers.
They have they don't even have a place for leftovers, even if they did have leftovers.
They don't. So I'd like you to retract everything you said as being bad and say, I'm so lucky.
I'm so lucky to have these problems.
All of this was based on zero knowledge of Syria. I don't, I know that things aren't good in Syria. I know that there's a lot of displacement. I know that there's civil war. But if you look at Damascus, it seems okay.
Yeah, it's like parts of Syria are incredibly sad and opposite of what they were. And then there are other parts that are not changed.
In Damascus, water cuts and crumbling sewer systems. There you go. The Syria of running water.
Oh, is that true? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
What?
Public water supply systems in Syria cover about 95% of the households in urban areas and about 80% in rural areas. I mean, that's pretty fucking good.
Welcome to One Topic, where we stick to one topic, kind of. My name's Autumn Fisher.
My name is Greg Russ. Don't expect a lot out of Autumn this episode because she's tired. She had a long day.
I did, and I still have more to do after this. It's 9:30. I don't get to go to bed.
Tiring day, and there's a kitchen to clean and a carpet to vacuum.
And maybe a dog to take out before we all go to bed.
I can hold its pee and poop through the night.
Nah, he'll poop in the bathroom.
No, well, at least he goes into the bathroom to poop.
He's been favoring the rug, which is kind of nice. It's like not the carpet where I can't see where it is. Like I can see it on the bath mat. So it is kind of nice when it's in there. But still, I try and get him to not do that.
Should get one of those fake patches of grass and just put it on your balcony. The balcony that you go on, like Rapunzel, with your long flowing hair that you're hundreds of feet in the air.
Yeah.
I mean, a patio doesn't sound as fancy as a balcony. And me calling it a balcony, it really kind of overplayed what it is.
It's a balcony. It's not a patio.
Well, it's a patio, but it's a balcony because it's on the second floor.
Yeah.
But to me,
if
balcony.
If it was a concrete slab, that'd be a patio.
It is a concrete slab.
I mean, a concrete slab that's on the ground level. That's a patio.
That's a lifted concrete slab. And to me, a balcony's ornate with its railing and the archway that leads to the inside with the French doors that swing open. And it's on a beautiful castle with gargoyles.
Gargoyles.
So
that's also a balcony.
But yes, you're right. I'm sure it says in the listing, balcony.
Yeah.
Because it's in the air. Hey, nobody was excited the other day that I wrote, meaning everyone on the radio show, that I went to a concert and saw Lucinda Williams. And people are like, huh? I thought she was a big deal. I thought it was a big name. Isn't Lucinda?
I don't even remember you saying that.
Isn't Lucinda Williams something big?
I know the name, Lucinda Williams.
Maybe it's not as big as I thought. Like, the name is recognizable, but yes, the body of work off the top of my head, I was like, I don't know. But these people who talk music nonstop are going to say, wow, that is absolutely amazing because she had a stroke a few years ago and she's back on stage.
What's her, big hit?
Don't ask me. I'm not the music head.
I thought it was going to be that, they said I told you
I went to a concert. There's this guy, Jesse Malin, who, similar to Driving and Crying, well known in the music industry, well respected. Other musicians love him. But if you take him out of New York, do most people know him? Probably not. But he sells out, he can sell out a good sized venue here. And so I ended up going to that show. And it was the first concert I've been to in a very long time. And I went with my friend Paul Cavalcante, who works at the radio stations here in New York, multiple stations. And he got us free tickets. So we were in the VIP area.
Wow, that's exciting.
Which was up in the balcony at the venue. But it was also the area where other music people were hanging out, like industry people.
Oh
and
my God.
like my fucking God, they're so self-important. And I recognized this when I worked in radio, and I would go to concerts and they'd be around, and the way they conduct themselves, thinking they were hot shit because they had a backstage pass or something. And don't get me wrong, there were plenty of concerts I went to where I had an all access pass, and I thought it was cool that I could just run around. But I never thought that I was better than anyone because I had it. And there's just this air of superiority, that the stench of it flows off of these people. And up in the balcony, there were some tables, and on the table there were placards that say reserved for a certain person. And I don't know who these people were, but they came in and they thought they were the hottest of the shits. And he didn't like the fact that his placard wasn't in the best spot. So he just took it upon himself to move it. And then when you're in the balcony, if you're not up against the railing, it's a little harder to see. So that's a good spot. And this guy is like 6'8" and pushes people out of the way and just proceeds to stand in front of everyone.
What?
And I really wanted to take it upon myself to just come. I was like, who do you think you are? And he's like, who do you think you are? And I'd say, I'm fucking no one, which is exactly what you are too, because none of this fucking matters. It's all made up shit. Do you realize that? Your sense of being is false. You're a piece of shit.
You said this?
No, this is what I wanted to. This was my fantasy. God. But it just got me thinking about this in general, how people just tend to accept, oh, that person's important. Like, granted, I don't work in the industry anymore. Not in radio, I am, but not in the level where I'm interacting with music people and record people. And I know that can be bad for your career if if it is somebody who has some kind of power in the industry and you stand up to them. But I in general, I'm just thinking. So I guess the point of me saying that is it's easier for me if I had done something like that because I don't have anything to lose.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all made up. It's all absolute shit. And
I mean, that person, I'm sure people who actually are important don't do stuff like that.
Maybe. I mean, all this goes to people's heads. Record reps in general were some of the cockiest people, self-absorbed. They really thought they were, like, to me, being a record rep, I'd be somewhat embarrassed because to me, it's like, I'm not in the band. Like, being in the band that's the reason everyone is around the band. And the people with no shame, they latch on to the people in the band. It's like, doesn't embarrass you a little bit? Like, if that's your job and you like music and you get to do that for a living, that's pretty cool. It's like, I didn't have the talent to be in a band, or I tried and I didn't, we didn't make it. But now I'm around this. But the way people latch on and use it as a stepping stone in some way, like they're cooler and better than you because I work with the band. I would be very embarrassed if I ever used the band's name in any sort of way to raise myself above anyone else. You shameless prick.
I mean, I think when I was younger, I enjoyed maybe doing something like that, like sort of knowing people within a band, or, like saying I'm with them or something. I did like that, but I didn't think that I was better than. I just enjoyed getting the access that I felt like I didn't really totally deserve.
Don't get me wrong, it is cool, especially when we were younger and we were interns and you got access to Music Midtown or something.
Yeah.
Because you probably had gone to Music Midtown before and you were stuck in the crowd, and then suddenly you've got this access to foods and beverages and
air conditioning.
Yeah, a riser that's got a view of the stage, and you can see everyone perform, unless it's Bob Dylan, who decides to give the station a big fuck you and sits like 30 feet back on the stage so you can't see him from the riser. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Why do people give a shit about Bob Dylan? I'm sorry. Maybe that's a hot take. I don't like I get poetry in music. That's fine. I think that's great. I love a lot of lyrics and in music, but to sometimes to not have a whole song where you don't have anything that you can sing along to.
And
So boring.
there's some merit in that. The person who pioneered that.
I guess.
Like I don't know enough.
It seems like a beatnik like slam poetry thing to do.
I don't know enough to speak about it. I'm sure that there's people that would say Bob Dylan is the one who got the fame, but he doesn't deserve it. And there's other people who actually blazed the trails.
I don't know. I like the Hurricane because it's a story. You can follow it, and it has a catchy hook.
Well, Bob Dylan did chase someone down once who was digging through his trash. Like this person continued to dig through his trash, and it's paparazzi type person. They were looking for something, and he ran down the street and beat him up, punched him. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Listen, I'm just saying I don't feel like he deserves this like deity status. He seems like a real fucking weirdo too.
He is a weirdo.
And how tall is he? Do you think he's like 5'1"?
I don't know. All right, let's look up his height.
I feel like he's 5'7". It's not that short. But.
Well, he wears those hats too. That gives him a little bit extra height.
Yeah, he seems very small.
And then he went electric, and people hated it.
Oh, who gives a fucking shit? Oh my god, I'm annoyed. Whoa, it says that he only weighs 140 pounds.
I mean, who knows that?
Yeah, I don't know. But still, can you imagine? Maybe that's why I think that he's so small. He's 81.
For 5'7", 140 pounds is probably not far off.
No way. 140?
I weighed myself the other day. I'm up to like 207.
That's nothing. You're fine.
That's a lot for someone who's barely
You got them stone bones.
Barely over 5'10". That's yes, the dense bones is a thing, but a lot of people don't buy into it. Like, yeah, right. I've never broken a bone.
Well, I've never broken a bone either, and I don't have stone bones.
Well, you did.
I broke a pinky toe once.
Yeah, well, there you go. You broke something. The only thing I ever broke was my nose, but that was kind of on purpose.
And that's not a bone.
I mean, there's a bone part to it.
No.
I think it's the part I crunched.
That's your skull.
Yeah, it's part of your skull. That's what I mean. Like
yeah,
the bridge.
You break the cartilage. You're not breaking your bone.
No, like the bridge. You break your nose. The bridge of my nose. I think it.
That's cartilage.
I think it cracked.
No, that's not bone.
The top of it.
The top of it is not bone.
The bone comes out a bit.
No, it goes down.
Well, whatever.
It doesn't go out. It doesn't go out into space. It goes down.
I thought it came out just a little bit before it like went down and in.
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure it's all cartilage.
Let's look at a human skull.
Okay.
Yeah, see the very top. Look up human skull. And at the very top, there's some bone that comes out before it goes in. See? That's the area. I think I cracked that.
Maybe.
I'm pretty sure that was the area that I was putting.
Did you bleed a lot?
Curling weights on.
Did your nose bleed a lot after that?
No, it didn't bleed a lot.
Then it didn't break.
No, I'm saying the bone cracked. That's probably what happened. The bone cracked a bit. If it was the cartilage and the septum and all that, I think then yes, things would have started pouring out. Anyway, that's beside the point.
Okay.
That BMI scale says I'm obese.
Well, fuck that BMI scale. We've talked about this before. It's all bullshit. It's based on it's based on something from like the 1915s. And then even then it was based on something else dumb.
Yeah, but it still exists. And perception is reality. Perception's reality. And people look at that and then they look at me and say, oh my God, you
have an eating disorder.
Fat slob. You nasty pig.
But think about how much people weigh. If you look at a group of people and they all have different body types and body shapes and heights and weights and everything. Oh, not weights. everybody would be the same weight. Everybody looks different.
It's true.
Yeah. So
I don't have anything more
Yeah.
to say about it. We're going to backtrack. We're rolling back the tape, moving back past Bob Dylan, before Bob Dylan, talking about the
Yeah.
access at concerts. And what I was saying, I don't want to dismiss that. There is something cool about it, and you get to experience it. Even in those instances, if a band came around, I was somewhat embarrassed. I was like, oh, these are the real cool people. And look at all these other people fawning over them. Like, hey, yeah, look, I'm here. I work in, like, there was a time when radio served a purpose, when you really did have the power in radio to get a band's music out there, and you could
Right.
make them. You could make a career for a band if you pushed their record. And, I think there was some enjoyment in that dynamic with artists and DJs. But, in the early 2000s, that was long gone. Especially when you're playing classic rock and you're dealing with bands who have already made it and don't really need you anymore. And they're nice enough to come in. And there's obviously a range. Some want to be there, seemingly. Others clearly don't want to be there. But I even at 99X, I overdid it because I was uncomfortable. I was made uncomfortable by that dynamic. And I probably came off as cold and rude and an asshole. So the band's probably like, what was up with that guy? Because you could have a real conversation. You could approach it and say, hey,
Yeah.
thanks for being here. I don't think anything more of this than I'm glad that you're here. I don't think I'm
Right.
fucking cool riding your coattails or some shit. And maybe they would have appreciated that, and that would have gone somewhere. Maybe it could have gotten good interviews out of people. I feel like
See, that's your neuroses that
Yeah, well, there's-
stopped you from being like that.
there's always an overcompensation. But like going on stage and introducing a band, the crowd does not give a shit about you as a DJ.
Oh no, of course not.
So I used to go up there, and I guess I would just be weird too, because I realized, like, they would say, you're going up to introduce this band. And I'd think, I don't really want to do this, but it was important to the radio station, and whatever. I didn't want to come off as ungrateful. So I'd go up there and I'd say, coming up, The Killers in 15 minutes. Like after the crowd roared, I'd be like, no, here's what I'd say. Give it up for The Killers. And in 15 minutes, and I'd walk away.
Dick.
Or there were other times, like, you go up, be like, hey, how's it going? And nobody cheers.
Uh-huh.
And so my go-to line was, your silence only makes me stronger. And then I'd say, give it up for The Killers in 15 minutes. Or there was one time I bought a pea coat, and I thought it was stylish. And I went up there and I said, hey, how's it going? And nobody cheered. And then I said, that's fine, your silence, because I'm not going to do the I can hear you. Let's come on. Let's get louder. I was like, oh, fuck. They don't want to do it. I'm not forcing them to do it. So, how you doing? Silence, a few cheers. Your silence only makes me stronger. What do you guys think of my stylish pea coat? And I posed for a second, and that surprisingly got a good reaction. And then I said, give it up for The Killers in 15 minutes. And I walked away. So that was.
So why did you go out then? So it seems like if you're being sent out on the stage, you're supposed to introduce them. So why was it 15 minutes later?
And this has nothing to do with The Killers. I was just using them as an example.
Right, yeah.
Sometimes you would introduce the bands right away, but other times bands didn't want that. They didn't want to be introduced.
Okay.
So you would have to go out early. I can't remember if, I probably didn't introduce The Killers anyway. If The Killers played a
that seems
show
like
at
a lie.
99X, that was someone else at the station.
Yeah, for sure.
That wasn't me. But that was the reason why. Sometimes bands didn't want the direct introduction.
Okay.
It was their stage. How dare you be on their stage? Which, you know what? Fair enough. I'm up there playing pretend. I'm famous. Look at all the people in the crowd. It's a cool perspective.
Yeah.
Did you ever introduce any of the bands?
No, never.
No, you never got that.
I was only an intern back then.
You never got that thrill when you were on the radio.
No. It wouldn't matter. Nobody knew me.
That's
Nobody
how.
would have known me.
Yeah, but then somebody would say that's how they get to know you. What would you
Yeah.
have done?
This was my chance.
Yeah, what would your introduction have been? How would you have done it? I could see you hamming it up. Like sometimes, I want you to answer that, but sometimes they give you like liner cards and shit for you to
Ew.
promote. I was like, oh, fuck me.
Yeah, I would try and do that as best I could. Uh, but I think I would just try and be real, like, just excited. Well, everyone, give it up for the killer! Woo! You know, something. There's no cool way to do it. Because to me, if I did it aloof, then I would be pretending. And that's not authentic. And then if I did it announcery and like uber professionally, then that would also be inauthentic and lame. So I think I would just try and be like excited and happy.
You want to do like jumping jacks or something?
Ew, no. Pfft, listen, you really, I don't understand what this is. There are times like you and Eric both sort of paint me into this thing where it's like, oh, you love that kind of like, what?
No, I
don't.
I think of the live lounges when we would do the Doctrine live.
That's just me. I'm not hamming it up.
And like
That's,
there was something like Dr. Joe was around and you started flopping on the ground and doing the Three Stooges thing where you walk on your side like whoop, 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 walking in a circle on the ground.
well,
Doing the worm and shit like that.
I did not do the worm. I might have done the whoop, whoop, whoop thing. No, I might not have. I don't remember doing that.
So
I remember him cracking me.
Yeah, so that's hamming it up a bit though, isn't it?
No, but that's not hamming. That's just me. Like hamming it up to me seems like I'm like I'm doing more for attention or
Fair. Fair. You would do that in your living room.
yeah.
You do the worm.
I'm just trying to experience the moment and sort of like continue to say yes to whatever moment I'm in.
You'd
you know?
worm your way through the apartment. You'd whoop,
I mean-
whoop, whoop, whoop.
If somebody said, "What is that?" I would try and get on the floor and do the whoop 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 whoop. But I wouldn't be doing it for attention. It would just be like, all right, I'll try it.
All right, I retract it. You did do the
Yeah.
stuff on stage, but you're right. This isn't, it's not an exaggeration of any sort.
No,
It was just,
I mean, in a moment, and as far as performing, there is a performative aspect to it, but it's I don't. It's not so out of character that I'm just doing it because I need the attention or something, you know. Because I certainly don't. I don't mind sitting back. That's fine.
also, at least in that instance, people are there to see the show and you're part of the show. So technically they're
Right.
there to see you in
So
some
am I supposed to be
capacity.
like, oh no, guys, no, I'm not gonna get on the floor. It's like, oh come on, bitch.
well,
Like, say yes.
I'm one to pay attention to how the crowd's reacting when something like that happens. And I have to say, it's a little uncomfortable.
Well, because that's your neuroses. Because you're thinking about the people that won't like this.
They're embarrassed
And
for
I'm
you.
just-
They're like, oh
Right.
my God, Autumn. What are you
But I'm
doing?"
not neurotic like that, so I don't really care. Yeah.
I mean, you're putting on a show. So I don't feel the need to make you feel bad for it.
No, I know. I'm not feeling bad.
And like I said, at least in those instances, people are there to see you, to see the show. Not like at a concert where then the record rap's like, oh yeah, I was hanging out
Exactly.
with those guys.
See, that's
Oh,
my
you want to
point.
snort some Adderall with me, man? Sorry, I ran out. I thought I had some extra.
But no, that's my point. I wouldn't go out there on the stage expecting them to be excited for me. I'm with them excited about what's going to happen after I stop talking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's how I think I would approach it.
Remember the band Jet?
Yeah.
They had
There was a couple of bands like that, right? It was like 2 bands that had like 3-letter names.
Are You Gonna Be My Girl was their biggest hit, I think.
Yeah.
From Australia. They were playing a show for 99X and hanging out backstage, and like a conversation with them started. The lead singer and me started organically. I think we were probably around the same age. Maybe they were a few years older than me at that point. And they were just hanging out at Phillips Arena in the referees' locker room. That was their green room for NBA games where the refs would get dressed and go to the bathroom
Okay.
and stuff.
Got it.
And yeah, he called me in. He's like, come have a drink. And I was like, okay. Like, because this felt real and I didn't feel like I was imposing. And
Right.
I wasn't
like
trying
you
to
were trying to get like weasel your way in.
yeah, and like I talked to him and he got really nervous before shows still. And he, in essence, just got drunk, the lead singer.
Oh,
And he's like, I'm drinking this wine. I still get nervous about shows. And then they took the stage and he commanded the stage, but I could also tell he was drunk. But I don't think other people could have. It was just me knowing how much he had to drink and watching him drink throughout the rest of the show. I was like, man, that dude's got to be drunk, but he's still putting on a really good show. But that was very humanizing to me. We forget sometimes that all these people are fucking people. And
right.
even if you are in a big band, and I know that shit goes to people's heads, like I don't buy into that. And I can't say for sure that it wouldn't happen to me if I were in that spot. I like to think it wouldn't happen to me.
That what wouldn't happen to you?
Like I would become cocky and it would all go to my head and I would think I was better than other people. But, it's got to be tough when people are singing your praises constantly and you're having everything done for you and people roll up the red carpet everywhere you go. Maybe over time it's impossible to not fall into that trap.
I think the hardest part would be needing certain things, having certain expectations that aren't actually outside of the realm of what you actually need. Like you're not being ridiculous, fame has gone to your head mentality. You could actually just need these things. And if they're not being provided, then you have to tell someone. And then it sort of like, it's like, you're trying your best not to be a diva, but then the fact that you are requiring certain things makes you feel like you're asking too much. And then anybody with any kind of chip on their shoulder, if you're talking to them and you're sort of demanding these things that you actually do need, then if they have, like I said, they have the chip on their shoulder and they're gonna be like, this person, like, oh, they were yelling at me and they needed their waters before, And so it does sort of turn into that thing where you have to have people around you to sort of do the dirty work. You could you got to tell the middle person to say like, hey, this thing that we require is not here.
I'd apologize constantly though. It's like, yeah, I know I need this, but I'm sorry. I'm sorry you're having to do this.
I know, but then some people don't respect you for it or something.
I don't like that structure. That's why I don't like going to restaurants. I hate being served.
Yeah.
I don't want someone bringing me my food and waiting on me. It's disgusting.
It's not disgusting.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
See, again, that's your neuroses.
And so if I were in a band or in any position of fame,
how would you live?
I'd be constantly apologizing. But I get, for some people, it must also be hard because other people really do look at you as not being just a person. Like you are something special. And losing sight of the fact that you're just a person and then you're surrounded by all these people who look at you that way. When things pop up, like you're feeling sad or something, it's like, what the? No one really even thinks about it. I wouldn't assume like, whatever. Why would you feel anything other than great all the time? Because look at who you are. Look at who you are and what you do.
Well, you've seen that Katy Perry, that part of her documentary where she and Russell Brand finally like broke up and she was in the makeup chair, like sobbing, and they were waiting for her to give the okay, whether they were going to continue to get her prepared for this show where, thousands of people are in this arena waiting for her to start the show or whether they were going to cancel it. And they were kind of giving her the opportunity, like, we can cancel it if you need to, and she was just like sobbing in this chair. She was so sad. And then eventually she's like, start Todd, like the makeup person. And then he just like getting her ready. And then, she's walking through the building. She's getting up to where she's supposed to be. She's sobbing on someone's shoulder. There's a makeup person there trying to like fix her up. And then she's standing on a little platform with her like spinning lollipop boobs with a glittery microphone. And this like platform is going to raise her up through the stage. And she has to like plaster on a smile and just do her show.
And people on stage, not even like, I'm sure that they knew about the breakup because it was highly public. But
well, not in that moment. I'm saying like right then.
So it just happened.
Yeah.
And it hadn't been written about yet.
I think that they knew, the people backstage. Like I think all the people around her knew what was going on, but nobody in the stadium.
Can you imagine though? Like there is this idea that the show must go on, and
that's what she did. Because if you think about it, it's like there are thousands of people yelling your name, and they've all, worked hard to get there. Maybe they've gotten like babysitters, like, you know, traveled miles to get there. Maybe they've spent a bunch of money, and it's like, what do you do? You're sad. Well,
maybe a good antidote for that is going on stage and having people shower you with adoration and
I'm sure it can help
cheers.
distract you at the very least.
Yeah, but when you're also married to someone famous, it's not as it doesn't hit as hard. Like what it's supposed to happen is you're in high school and someone dumps you, and that's your motivation. Like fuck you, I'm gonna get famous. I'll show you. And that's what drives you to fame. And then when you're on stage and everyone's cheering for you, you look over and you see your ex, and you say, "Fuck you, look at me now." But when you're dating someone who's also famous and also goes on stage and also gets cheers with a live audience, you can't really throw that in their face. Like, oh, yeah, you also get it.
Well, that's not a real way to get over something anyway.
Yes, it is. That's the best way.
No, it's
Spite.
the worst way.
Spite is the most powerful motivator in the world, at least for me.
Is that true? Honestly, for real?
It can really get me going.
Yeah.
I like the idea of getting people back without them even knowing it. So
See, what is that motivation?
it's just nice because
Well, it's not nice.
it's like I don't even need you to know that it was me. I just need you to know that something shitty happened. And it's better that you didn't know it was me because it proves how fucking stupid you are. You thought you could get one over on me. You thought you could treat me like shit. You thought I would slink away. But I stuck around for 15 years to put this plan in action. And at the end of it, you've lost all
they
your
haven't
hair.
thought about you once.
You've lost all
like,
your
whatever.
fucking hair. Yeah, well, it teaches them a
You what?
lesson. And I said it teaches them a lesson. And then they have to think next time they treat someone like shit. It's like, will this haunt me for the next decade? I don't want people to rest. I want them to become paranoid. I want them to think about their actions and that there are consequences. And sometimes the consequences aren't so blatant and in your face.
Or what? That you're successful and they are also found their own success?
I'm not talking about success. I just in general.
Just moving on.
I'll enact a plan. This wasn't about success. I was just saying in instances of bands, sometimes people use success as a way to one up
I know,
another
but
person.
that's so childish.
It is childish. We are childish. We're dumb creatures.
I'm childish in ways where I'll whoop, whoop, whoop on the ground, but I don't feel like I'm childish in the way of like, I need to get revenge.
Everyone's trying to put one over on someone else. That's why this hierarchy exists in the first place, why you go to a show and you've got industry people pushing other people out of the way, thinking that they're something special in the VIP area. And
yeah, because those people suck.
And this extends out. Like I was thinking of it, just I know that you have to have order and that these structures have to exist, but it's like police. As I get older, it's like in police are 22 years old. I was like, what the fuck? If you told me I would have to listen to you,
yeah,
it's pretty fucking weird. And at work, when your boss, it's like you're just a person who probably doesn't know what the fuck they're doing. You're not a good boss, yet somehow you have this power over me. And where does that come from? It's just because we all said so. It's just a structure that was created because people said yes to it, and we could easily just break it down. I think a lot of this also came out of the stuff that was happening with TikTok and Congress, and they call them in. And if I were the CEO of TikTok and Congress is using me to put on a show, I would want to say, what the fuck you. This is nothing.
Can we just shake off all of this like fakery and just speak like actual people, not like you're going to get one over on me by asking me questions where I can only say yes or no, even though the answer is more nuanced. Like, I don't want to play this game.
And your power is there because we all say it's there. And it's given to you by the people, ultimately, and they can take it away. But
that one guy that's like, so when TikTok's connected to my Wi-Fi, does TikTok have access to my Wi-Fi? And he's like, I mean, yeah, it's access to your Wi-Fi. He's like, yeah. He's like, so TikTok is connected. So TikTok is gaining access to my personal Wi-Fi. He's like, yeah.
It's just this idea, though. Yeah, yeah. And it's like, you're an idiot. You're a fucking moron. Are you kidding me? It's like, what's your point here? What are you
Yeah,
getting
what are you
at?
trying to say?
I don't know if
What
you're
are
trying to trap me or you just are dumb and you don't
See,
understand
that would
any
be
of this.
that would be great if somebody would respond
Yeah,
in
but
like
you
a
have to
really
respect.
honest way.
You have to respect it. It's the halls of Congress and the chambers.
No, I mean, what you're talking about is, I think, what a lot of people are experiencing, which uh, is it apathy? Where
It's just
we,
questioning, like,
it's that nothing that we've held in esteem has panned out to actually be worth its merit. So now, when we're confronted with new situations, like, for example, this like a TikTok thing with Congress, we're like, who the fuck are you? What are you talking about? And then the fact that we're approaching it that way, we're able to see that they don't know what they're talking about.
that's the biggest thing. When I was younger, you assume that these people earned those spots. They got there for a reason.
Right.
You know, they know what they're talking
Which in a way
about.
they did, but
Yeah, but it's not that you grow older and you realize the reasons they got there. Yes, there's always a reason they got there, but it's not the reasons you thought, and that these are really just people who are just in that spot, and a lot of
Yeah.
it is arbitrary. Yes, you have to put forth the effort to get there. You have to come up with a plan of how you're
you have to
going to
know
do it.
things about, you know,
Yeah, but for the
whatever
most
they
part,
do.
you realize it's just a fucking person, and they really
Yeah.
aren't that much smarter than anyone else. And somehow, though, they're in this position. And I think, for me, that realization causes it all to crumble. You have to
Right.
have structure and hierarchy and people in positions of power and authority. But when you see them be complete idiots, and you're like, that, what? You are there, and then you realize that they can tell you what to do. Fuck no, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't buy into this as much anymore.
There was a thing that Adam Carolla said when he talked about really shitty cops that were like giving you shitty little parking tickets and being real dickheads and like, you know, extreme letter of the law type of bullshit tickets that you get. And he was like, is this what you intended when you became a cop? Like, this is what you wanted to do? You know, because you think about people that want to be cops where they want to like slide over the hood of a car and like say like, we no time for backup. But here you are just writing some shitty shit ass ticket.
Maybe it's some of that anger that forms when that's your job, that you give even more people tickets in the process.
Mm-hmm.
Look, if you're in a position of power, I think there should be some humility and say, look, I know that I have power and I'm going to be aware of that and respect that and try to be careful with it.
Yeah.
But that's not what happens. You get people in
Well,
power.
because that can be taken advantage of.
Well,
and so you have
they
to be able
flaunt
to.
it and they love it and they rub it in other people's faces and they step on other people's faces on all these levels that I've listed. You know, going to a concert, who cares if these people are there? I could move away and watch the concert. And, you know, that's ultimately what I did. I didn't obsess over this all night. But thinking about it, it's like, why are you doing that?
Mm-hmm.
And that makes me just want to tear it all down, burn it all down. If there were a way to do it, I probably would. I just know that you can't. There's nothing I can ultimately do. You can yell at a person and tell them to fuck off and speak your mind on the issue, but what's that going to
But then you also
accomplish?
have to live in a society. And part of living in the society is accepting some like weird rules and structures that we've created.
Has it always been this way? Do people in positions of power always abuse the... Like, you think of a teacher, for example, and like, oh, that person's the smartest person in the world.
Yeah.
And it's like, they probably weren't.
Yeah, I learned that in 6th grade when my teacher was like afraid of us and said that I was in a gang and that I did heroin because I had a bent up spoon on my backpack. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I mean, people do bend spoons to do heroin.
Yeah, I know, but I was, I was who I was. Hello. And I'm in 6th grade. She was just like so freaked out. Anyway, she was an idiot.
What kind of gang were you in? Did it have a name?
Yeah, we were Valhalla.
Okay.
and I was Juji. And I
This
think
is
Paris, my friend Paris, was Spoon Man or
well, so
something.
this is real.
Yeah,
thought you
but
were
we weren't a gang.
Thought you were making that up on the spot.
No, it's
How
real.
the fuck did you learn about Valhalla in middle school?
Because Paris was Indian.
Okay.
Paras.
Is Valhalla Indian? I thought it was Viking.
Oh, well, still, I feel like he might know. I don't know.
I mean, yeah,
I don't know why he knew about that.
people could learn about things. I'm not saying.
Yeah. It is Norse.
Yeah, it was just. It was like, yeah. So you said Indian. I was
Maybe
like,
it was
huh.
an Assassin's Creed.
But it's middle school.
Yeah. Oh.
Again, you can find out information. It's just a little harder to find out information. You can't just
You know what?
stumble across it because someone on YouTube was talking about it and get really interested in it.
I'm not sure why. I guess I assumed that
Did you ever
he knew
ask
something about it.
about
No, I
what
just
it?
knew what it was also.
Okay.
I mean, I just kind of guessed what it was.
What did
Yeah.
you? What was your guess?
That it was like heaven or something.
Is it?
I don't know. I think. I still would guess right now that that's what that is.
I mean, I guess it's a type of heaven, but it's something like the warriors go there, from what I remember.
Oh, okay. Just looking up Valhalla and then India, there's a TripAdvisor for the 10 best Indian restaurants in Valhalla. So maybe it's a place in India.
But the Valhalla, I hope that your gang was named after the city in India then, and not the
It very well could have been.
and not the. Is there even a? I don't even know if there is a city in India named Valhalla.
I don't either. Hold on, I'm looking at this.
What I
Indian
see-
restaurants in Valhalla.
What I see is there's a Valhalla, New York, and there are Indian restaurants there. That's what I'm seeing.
Oh, I'm
Oh,
seeing that as well.
oh boy.
Oh man.
Well, if the teacher had heard this, she'd say, "Oh, you're not in a gang. This is nothing."
I bet you she wouldn't know. She's like, what? She was real southern and stupid.
I've got nothing to fear. These kids are dumb. When you are a kid, though, think of adults in general. You adult tells you to do something. Like, obviously, you get to an age where then you're like, "Fuck you. I'm not listening to you." But when you're young enough, all adults have authority and power. They're like, "Oh, okay, I'm sorry."
Yeah. Well, it was a long time that I didn't feel like I was going to get in trouble, or like I wasn't doing something independently, that I wasn't like sneaking around. Like I was just living. You know what I mean? I think one of the first times that's changed was when a kid was being bad and they didn't have a parent around. And I looked at them and I was like, I was the adult to them. And I was like, told them to stop or like, hey, no more of that. Something like that. Yeah. I was like, oh, because I'm the adult.
Until one day they're 10. I don't know what age it happens when they start to talk back. You're not my mom.
Ew.
Maybe that's
Even so, I mean, I've told pretty tall kids to like knock something off, like stop it. I don't know how old they were.
and then
I don't think they were 12, but they were probably like 10.
Where do
There were all these
teens-
kids at the thrift store, and they were like,
That's where they hang
were-
out. 10-year-olds
they
are
were
hanging
fucking
at the.
around.
I mean, were they there alone?
No, their parents were probably shopping and doing other things and like letting their kids go off, but they were running around and they like had something from the toy section, and they were just like paying no mind that they were in public. And I told them to stop. I was like, hey, that's enough of that. Put that stuff away now.
Mean.
They're like, "Ugh."
Mean lady. Yeah,
That's fine.
I feel like these days they go tell their parents and their parents will come find you.
Not at the thrift store.
Who the
At the thrift store, they
fuck-
were probably like, what'd you do? They're
Who the
like,
fuck do you think you are talking to my sweet child?
no, that's white parents.
Oh, yeah, that is true.
Mm-hmm.
Stupid white people.
Yeah.
What idiots.
I
What-
don't consider myself involved with people who are white.
Sorry, you are. I'm really leaning into being Jewish.
You are.
So I'm not white. I'm Jewish.
Mm.
It's because I didn't.
Well, I might also be Jewish.
No, you can't.
Why?
You take that 23andMe, ain't going to show up for you.
Somebody in my family's Jewish.
then I need to see proof. I could show you some good proof for me.
I have proof.
I'm embarrassed
What's
to
it
be
called?
white.
Ancestry.
I'm not ashamed to be white for being white because of history and stuff. That's not what. It's just white people these days that embarrass
That's
me.
what I mean. Just like I don't consider myself. What is it? Oh, there's a difference between being straight and heterosexual. And I feel like
I don't know if I want to
I'm
go down this
straight.
path.
I'm straight. I'm not heterosexual.
What's the difference?
People who are heterosexual are in like hetero hell, like where they'll do like gender reveals and they have matching outfits that they wear somewhere and they do like fall time family pictures or like lame engagement pictures on like a railroad crossing, stuff like that. That's hetero.
Okay.
And I'm just straight.
Okay, I'll give it to you.
Thank you.
And going back to what I said when I said I'm not ashamed of what white people did in the past. I mean, I look back on things that white people did, and being white myself, I don't internalize it. I'd say that was shitty. Those people were shitty.
Yeah, of course.
Fuck what they did. But I don't carry around that guilt, but I do carry around the embarrassment of being white these days because of today's white people. Just wanted to clarify that. I wasn't justifying what happened in the past. I just I view it through that lens. I'm like, yeah, that was fucked up. Fuck those people. If they were around, I'd stomp on their throat.
Yeah.
It's fun to stomp on people's throats. They gasp for air. They can't breathe. They can't talk.
Oh my God.
That's the way to go.
Jesus Christ. It's intense.
You ever stomped on a person's throat? No?
No, I haven't.
You got to try it. There's real authority. We need throat stompers. When I have my fantasies
Choke on my spit.
when I have my fantasies of being in positions of power where like I've been told by some government agency that you're allowed to bash a person's knee in if they're causing trouble for other people. I take that seriously. Like I don't do that out of in this fantasy. I'm not doing that for fun, and I wouldn't just bash any knee. It's like, look, wow, this is a great responsibility that I've been given, and I need to use it in instances. I need to be careful what instances I use it in. So I look for the people that if they were in my position, they would abuse it. That's ultimately the test. So someone blasting music, not caring that there's someone else on the train with an ear infection who it hurts their ears. That's the kind of person who, if they were in the spot on the government agency that was given a pipe to go bash in knees, they would abuse that power.
That's where
I just want to say that I understand the need for this structure. And if I was ever in a spot, I would take it very seriously. And not everyone would get bashed. Most people wouldn't. Just those that only think about themselves and only care to prove that they're better than other people or above other people. And I think for the most part, people would say, thank you for that service, sir. And I would be a role model for children. And they'd come up to me and I'd say, yes, I am a person who knows what they're doing. I am a person who earned this spot. And I'm a person who is going to take it very, very seriously. And that's what you should do when you grow up. Don't just go get power for the sake of it. Don't shit on other people for the sake of it. Don't ride the coattails of a band because you weren't good enough, so you got into a record company, and then you talk about the band like your best friends when they really laugh at you behind your back. Don't do any of that stuff. Get good at something. Look out for other people. And when you do get to that spot, don't take it for granted. Don't overdo it. That's all I've got.
My second great grandmother was Hedwig Lowenstein.
What does that mean? You think because of Steen's in there that she's Jewish?
Yeah. Well, and she's from Baden-Württemberg, Germany.
I need to see DNA.
I mean, it's in my ancestry.
I need to see the chart.
She was my great-grandfather Aurelius's mother. And Aurelius had Richard. And then Richard had Christiane, and Christiane had me.
All right. Well, let me see the chart.
All right. I don't know how to. All right. Thanks, everybody. Like and subscribe, rate and review. Tell your friends. Okay, bye.